to whoever's viewing in at this exact moment. Currently, I see 0, but welcome to the Call to Action podcast episode. We've got another hotcake episode today. Today, we've also got a fantastic special guest host, the one, the only, Albert, everybody. Hey, you know.
Hi. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, thanks for being on this at short notice. I literally just said, hey, you want to come on? And 20 minutes later, I got Albert on the show. Always great to have on as
True
well.
story.
Oh, yeah. Is the wonderful Danielle Joyce joining us from the Chill to Action podcast.
Hello. What's up, y'all? Talk about these brackets.
Oh,
brackets. We're going to talk about brackets.
Oh, boy. Frank Janis loves numbers. I love brackets. Give me brackets on Schmodown all day long. I love doing the hypothetical talk, and I love grinding into it. So, obviously, you've seen us do a singles bracket episode. You can go check that out on the channel as well. We've got people flooding on in. Danny says, Albert.
Hey.
Brandon Hanna says, hello. Chris Adams says, hey, guys. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Hello,
really want to get Chat's opinions on some of these brackets because we've got a spicy, even spicier than the singles league, I think. Spicy brackets coming up. Let's see. Let's go ahead and put that on the screen. Let me do this right here. So for this episode, we're just going to go through each match and hit the notes and say, hey, all right, for each match, who do we think we got coming out on top? And then we're going to see where the bracket lands between the three of us. I think we all three have different ideas on who wins and maybe who goes here. So it's going to be a fun little debate across the way. But I think we're just going to hit it from the top left side and work our way across. So without further ado, guys, let's talk about match number 1 on this. We have the Odd Couple versus Only Stupid Answers. What are your thoughts? Who wins?
I can start, I guess. I got the Odd Couple winning this one because, they clearly have they played more, they win more, and they're a better team, I feel like, than Only Stupid Answers. I cannot remember Only Stupid Answers' record of the bet, but I don't think it's a winning record right now. So, yeah, I think the Odd Couple got this one.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty easy opinion for sure. Danielle, sorry to cut you off. It's that thing that we love doing.
No, it's what we do here. No, I agree. I definitely agree with Albert. I have the Odd Couple taking this match. Jess Snyder is going to do, I think it's going to do well. I think it's going to bounce back from the singles and do really well in the teams. So I think they're going to do a good job with this one.
Mm-hmm. So for the record, Only Stupid Answers is at 1 and 2. So yeah, that makes sense. I'm kind of happy to go agree. This is a pretty easy throw up. I think it's a very easy round 1, higher seed against low seed match. Odd Couple probably takes this pretty clean. They're former champs at this point. They've sat here and they've beaten the people. I think that most people say the boss is going to run the whole show again. So yeah, Odd Couple. I don't want to sit on this one for too long, but we all agree that Odd Couple probably makes it into round 2. Following that, we have Shazam versus the Movie Guys. Danielle, why don't you lead the way on this one?
So this was kind of a tough one for me. In the singles tournament, I have Paul Preston going all the way with it. I really think that Paul Preston is going to take it. But Shazam is a really good team. Bibiani and the Kid, I'm really interested to see what they do. And I think they're going to work really well together. I think that's going to be a great match. And I have to go with Shazam on this one. So I think Shazam is going to take it over the Movie Guys for that.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Albert? You on that same page?
Yeah, I'm on the same page. Like Danny said, Paul Preston is good, but as a team with Adam, I don't know. We haven't seen much of them. And Shazam, their one win. I feel like they already assert so much dominance in the league. Those two pairings is a great pairing, Brendan Meyer and William Bibiani. So yeah, I think Shazam got this one too.
I would agree. Leaving that sweet hot cake. Thank you, AJ, for popping on in as always. Always a wonderful time. Make sure to check us out later. No hot cakes on this match either, guys. It's no very hard for Shazam. I would agree to your guys' points, Shazam. In their first match, they felt very much like a team that knows how to gel well, talk to each other, and kind of they've got that synergy already going for them. I was saying off stream just a little bit ago that I think the Odd Couple kind of lacked that on their first run through on the first tournament. they didn't really find their footing into a team until after the tournament had ended. But I think that Shazam really has that team synergy right now, so I think that'll play a big part in the Odd Couple Shazam match that we think is going to be going on. But before we get into round 2, we've got another probably pretty unified decision on this one. Time Machine versus the Scream Queens. I'm going to go ahead and put a hot spin out here, guys. I think the Time Machine takes this one.
Oh, spicy.
Ooh, too hot.
Spicy take.
That hot take is burning my mouth right now. I don't think I was going to say that Janine and Ethan Irwin would not get past their first round match.
Yeah, I cannot believe that you picked the Time Machine, but I also did pick the Time Machine, so yeah.
Oh, man. We are all about picking the underdogs in this one, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, because I also chose Time Machine for this round. And nothing against the Scream Queens. I think Haley Fouch, I love Haley Fouch so much. I think that it's such a bummer to be put into the same position to where she has to go against Ethan Irwin again after New York and stuff like that. So that's just kind of a bummer and breaks my heart because I think most people definitely will have Time Machine taking this win. So I think if this, the Scream Queens are not a bad team. They do really well together. And, even though they both have pretty much the same strength, they do work well as a team together. So it'll be interesting to see them go against this. And if they can break a bracket, that would be super interesting. But I definitely have Time Machine taking it, and I have Time Machine taking it all the way. So.
Real quick, I'll address the chat. Chris Adams says these cakes aren't that hot yet.
No hot cakes yet. Nope. Haven't gone to the hot cakes.
Renaming our things. Store warm cakes or 5-second microwave cakes. Guys, keep up those hot cake references in the chat. I swear it'll get hotter as this bracket goes along. But we got to get
my mild coffee take.
You know what? I'm stirring the batter right now, guys. I'm stirring the batter. It's going to be in that pan here real soon. It's going to start getting real warm and hot. Actually, I think it's going to possibly get warm and hot on this match. Looney Bin versus the Self-Righteous Brothers. Now we're actually getting into a real hot cake on this. I've definitely got my totally biased opinion, but we'll start Albert this time.
Yeah. Well, if you guys know or you guys don't know, I picked Whitney Seibold to defeat Meyer in the singles tournament, and that screwed me over. And also Self-Righteous Brother, they did play it last year in the tournament, and they lost against, I believe it was Take the Cannoli.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm going with the Looney Bin in this one because they nearly just lost in their first match against Loose Cannons, and they did pretty well. So I think it's going to be a close one, but I have the Looney Bin advancing in this one.
Danielle, thoughts?
Yeah, that's my hot cake also. I do have the Looney Bin taking it. I love Whitney Seibold. I am also bummed out that he would get this match because I love the chemistry between Video Drew and Tom. They work very well as a team, and you can tell from their matches that they know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. They're very smart, and that's not taking anything away, from Whitney and his partner. But I have the Looney Bin taking this one too.
Oh man, we're seeing a little bit of controversy in the chat. Chris Evans, Captain of
Chris Evans is in the chat.
Is in the chat. No, Chris Adams says Self-Righteous. We got a lot of people saying Looney Bin. I'm pretty torn. This is one of the two closest matches in the first round one. I think on one side, Self-Righteous Brothers had a really, really good debut against the Take the Cannoli. I think they both, it was like 30-32 or something like that. They only lost by a couple points, but I remember they both got really high marks in their first match. In that same way, I think Looney Bin actually performed pretty identical in their debut as well. They lost to Loose Cannons, but again, like Tom came in and clobbered everybody.
Yeah.
And then like Video Drew performed really well. She even admits later that she was like the questions that all that Tom missed were the ones that I was going to get. So I think they have a better team synergy there, and I think I'm going to go recency bias and say that Looney Bin probably takes this as well. Looney Bin came in really hot on their debut, and they both are really identical parties. I think the most interesting part about this match is going to be how they interact with one another, because they're both got a dark gothic sense of humor. I'm going to love to see how that match plays out in the kayfabe.
That is going to be very fun.
speaking of going to the top of the bracket, Ben Bateman
Oh,
plays
Bateman.
off for life. We're just about to cover that, Ben. So I'm glad you tuned in for this part.
Dang it.
It's Who's the Boss and Inky and the Brain. Who do we
Yeah.
got?
Oh man, what a hard pick. This genuinely was sort of like a heartbreaking pick because I love Rachel so much.
Yeah.
I love Rachel. Rachel was just on Ben and Andrew's stream last night, so make sure that you guys check that out. Also, that was a great stream, and they have to go against each other in this first round, and it's a really big bummer to see that happen because I also love Devin. I think he's a great competitor. He's a fun personality, super fun to watch. I love watching them together. They have really great chemistry together. But, it's fucking Who's the Boss, man. And they're whatever. I have Who's the Boss taking this one. I have Who's the Boss winning this. So.
Albert, are we all going to keep picking the same first one episode?
I think so, at least for now. I got Who's the Boss also. Their records speak for itself. Both players have the history with the league, and they're a really great pairing. And last year's match against Shire Wolves was one of the best match of the year, and I think Who's the Boss, if they keep that up throughout this whole tournament, they have a chance of winning it all the way. But Who's the Boss versus Inky and the Brain. I have to go with Who's the Boss as well, even though it's gonna suck seeing Rachel being on the losing end again.
Just Rachel, I just keep, at this point after the Action Unfiltered stream, which you should go check out over on their podcast channel, I'm forgetting right now, Action Industries, there we go, but yeah, they even said, Rachel's even saying that she was like, I'm really gunning for like comeback player of the year for next year, and I think she could easily steal it. I think that this year she just has some really bad matchups in the way of playing Roka in the Ultimate Team or in Ultimate Singles, and then Who's the Boss in Ultimate Teams. And while I think she's criminally underrated and very, very talented, and Devon can really turn it on whenever he hits the right matches, he's still pretty good. It's got to be Who's the Boss on this round 1-1. They're, again, as you guys said, they speak for themselves in performance. I think they get through round 1. Round 2 and 3, we'll see. Okay, we got Who's the Boss on that one. Now, here's probably the next closest match on here. Loose Cannons, Crimson Fury. Albert, I'm going to put the spotlight on you, buddy, on the hard one.
As I said to Dylan on the pre-show, this one is probably the hardest one for me to decide in the first round because both have really talented players. Both are 0-1 in their team's record, and it just comes down to the wild card factor. In this case, Stacy for Crimson Fury and Eric for Loose Cannons. I feel like if one of them have the hotter game, that one will take the game for them. But with a slight margin, I have to give it to Loose Cannons, just because Paul Oyama is probably the best player out of all the 4, and he's shown it. And I am a fan of Tim Franco, but we haven't seen him that much. So gotta go with Loose Cannons.
Danielle?
Yeah, so Tim Franco, we haven't seen him that much, but I think what we have seen from Tim Franco, he's shown up, he's shown out, and I don't think that he should be underestimated. I do think that if anyone were gonna he hasn't played in a long time, so that could be a factor into it. Also, Stacy is hot off of her win. So I think that watching that is going to be really fun to see. She broke a lot of brackets, and I think she's going to go in there with the same sort of mentality because I do think that a lot of people are going to think that they're the underdog for the match. So I think she's going to go in there with that bracket breaking mentality and trying to really shake things up and work hard and study at it. But hot cake, I got Loose Cannons. I do think Paul. I think Paul and Eric work very well together. They've shown out, and they know what they're doing. And Paul is on a roll right now. So sweet baby Paul. I got Loose Cannons on this one, y'all.
No surprise, guys. I got Loose Cannons on this one as well. And I'll be damned if Stacy doesn't come in. Chris Adams already knows what I'm going to say. But dang it if Stacy breaks brackets again.
I'm all about Stacy breaking brackets. It's she might break mine from time to time, and that's totally fine. But
Yeah.
I love it when she does it. It's the best part of the Schmodown sometimes. It's,
Yeah,
like, it's hilarious.
She destroyed my singles bracket, and I've gotten everything right so far, I believe, except for Stacy's match. And
Yeah.
I'm not even mad about it. I'm really not. Like, every time Stacy breaks a bracket, and at this point, and I know that she's going to, like, I deserve to just not pick her, at least in round one. She is a round one goat of the bracket breaking tournament. But,
Yes.
God, I just don't trust my mind on this one and say that Oyama is not playing at championship, undefeated level in Schmodown. Zipper, I've always said, is criminally underrated as well. I really have to give him the edge on this one just because we haven't seen him, Franco, enough for me to really say that he's – I think he's definitely of caliber, Zipper or caliber at least with that way and the way he's performed so far. But I also don't have enough showings, and his match has been so far and few between. It is kind of hard to say. I would definitely pick Crimson Fury over Loose Cannons, so I really have to go with the champ on this one and go Loose Cannons over Crimson Fury. Wouldn't Stacy be the breaker of brackets, says John Mariano. Yes, she would. Hopefully in her last season she doesn't tank the whole show. So going into the family versus the Wildberries. Every time I see Wildberries in my hotcake episode, side note, I just want to say this becomes a blueberry pancake episode. That's all I can keep thinking. Totally off the charts. So family versus Wildberries. Chat, I want the most biased opinions on this one altogether. You guys Albert, being the least biased person out of this whole group, who do you got for family versus Wildberries?
Being the least biased person, I got the family in this one.
Ah!
I mean, just because
you can stay.
just because the team up alone, Drew Guy and Drew McQueenie, the Double Drews, they know their stuff. Former team champion in Drew McQueenie, and I forget their record. I'm gonna check right now, but they're a really good pairing, and I still think Andrew Guy is quite underrated. I mean, his singles record is not the best, but I still think he's very underrated. And I think that their strengths very much complement each other. So, yeah, the family in this one.
For sure. Danielle, are we going 2 for 2 on this one?
I think so, man. I mean, how could I bet against my sweet baby Drew? I would never. So of course I have the family going for it. That's completely biased, but I mean also it just makes sense. The Wildberries did a great job in their last match. Still no spoilers because I know that it's not completely out to the public for it yet. So I don't think that they should they shouldn't be. Like, Makuga magic is a real thing, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see that happen, and that could possibly even get them to break a bracket like that, because I'm sure that most people have the same pick that we do, because we all know that Andrew Guy is the GOAT. So, you know me, I got the family going for this one.
Oh boy, hold on. Let me do a Bateman for who I've got for this one. All right. So on this match, guys. Count me down, somebody. I need some assistance here. Come on.
3, 2, 1.
The family. Who the fuck else would it be? Come on. Of course it's the family. Listen, Wildberries, again, no spoilers for their match against Lights of the Party and them. I will say that they played really well. Elliot especially in this one. And here's the thing about Elliot, is that Elliot is low-key really good at movie trivia whenever, when things line up just right. It doesn't have Makuga magic. I genuinely think Elliot knows a lot more than people give him credit for. But because they only play on the Wildberries and a lot of their things are so much more in their focused entertainment, you don't really get to see that wealth of knowledge. But go back to Team ETC coming in. They were bracket busters whenever they came in, and Elliot carried that team. But we're talking about Drew McWeenie in a teams match with Andrew Guy. Get out of here. Get out of here. Of course it's the family. Listen, I cannot wait. There are a couple matches that I just cannot wait for the banter of. Looney Bin, Self-Righteous Brothers is really high up there.
Oh, yeah.
The family and Wildberries, as Chris Adams has pointed out in chat, Makuga and Guy interacting together is going to be a blast.
It's going to be so much fun.
I cannot wait for that. I am more stoked about just seeing the kayfabe side of that than the actual match itself. But it's going to be the family, round one on that. And then rounding out round one, we have Evil Geniuses versus Paddington 2, which I'm going to take the lead on this one because I'm tired of being at the end and agreeing with both of you guys on everything. But I've got Evil Geniuses on this one. It's hard not to give them the edge on that. They performed really well in their first match. Since they were the Harris brothers and then reformed back as Evil Geniuses, they performed really well again. There's a really good – I think there's a lot of promising synergy between Lon and JTE. And JTE in teams is debatably maybe the second best player in teams possible. Like, Snyder's number one, and he's proven that at this point. But we haven't seen enough JTE back in the seat again to not say that he isn't either number two or possibly could make the run again. Paddington 2 is also very, very strong in their knowledge base, though. They did excellently in every single match they've played in. I think the worst match they've had was against Odd Couple, whenever they were going through the grind to get to the number one contender spot before Odd Couple took the titles from the Shire Wolves. But Paddington 2 is not a team to be slept on, so this could really go either way. Danielle, what do you think? I'll pass it to you first.
Yeah, so I have the Paddington 2 taking this one. I think the Evil Geniuses are a great team. They work very well together. We've seen them work very well together. We know that both JTE knows how to play the game, which is the most important thing, I think. And Lon Harris has a deep wealth of knowledge, and JTE is really strong in what he's strong in. And but I think Paddington 2, I just think they work so well together, and I think that they just have a little bit different type of knowledge than what Lon and JTE have. So I have the Paddington 2 taking this one.
And here's where the hotcakes start getting spicy. Albert, throw it in. Who's right, me or Danielle?
Well, I'm siding with you, Dylan, because I have the Evil Geniuses. The Evil Geniuses are 2-0. Paddington 2 is 1-2, I believe. And Paddington 2, they've had bad luck in their last two matches.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put that into factor. Maybe they got bad luck in this one too. And yeah, I had the Evil Geniuses going all the way last year's tournament, but then that bird accident happened, so that didn't occur. So yeah, I still have my faith in Evil Genius because individually I believe they know their stuff, and I'm pretty sure by now Lon Harris have teach JTE how to spell properly. So yeah, I think that pair up could very much work, and they're colleagues, so they know each other very, very well, and I think their knowledge is very diverse as well.
You know, you bring
Evil Geniuses.
a great point with Evil Geniuses, though. I'd love to see, like, if they break up, I want to see JTE and Brendan Meyer be a team, and then just them be totally unsure on how to pronounce and/or spell any of the any of the actors or actresses' names in the show, because Brendan Meyer's had struggles with that in the past. But all right, instead of going all the way back over to here, we're gonna do the old snake version. We're gonna go round robin right back the way we came. So, starting off our first round 2 match, Evil Geniuses against the Family. Ooh. Albert,
or Paddington 2 against the Family.
So Evil Geniuses versus the Family. Yep. This is very, very tough pick, and I have to go with my gut once again, and you guys probably will hate me for this, but since I still firmly believe Evil Geniuses can got it, I still have the faith from last year's tournament that they still got it. So yeah, it will be very, very close. But JTE was a team champ for a reason, for how many 7 straight wins or something like that.
Yeah.
And Lon Harris, he just got bad luck. But yeah, they really know their stuff. And Drew McQueenie is great. There's no question about that. Andrew Guy is the little bit of the question mark in this scenario, because if he have I'm gonna say he's probably out of the 4, he's the weakest player.
Ooh.
By a bit.
By a bit. Okay.
So if he have a slightly poor game, then I think Evil Geniuses got this. So yeah, I got Evil Geniuses.
Albert, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong on our show. You are totally allowed to.
I'm not going to kick you off.
And Evil Geniuses are a really solid team. This is another match I cannot wait for the kayfabe banter on it, because where you're gonna get Makuga and Guy having their fun banter. I think JTE and Guy is also a dream come true. I can't wait for the heel on heel shit talk that's gonna go on down that. But before I get into my thing, of course, Danielle.
So I have the family going against the Paddington 2, and very obviously I have the family taking that. I think that that's going to be the stronger team out of those two. Your match would be a lot more fun to watch because that banter would be hilarious. Because I don't think that Matt Adchity would play very much into what Andrew Guy would be spitting out. So I think watching Lon and JTE try to deal with Andrew would be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
So. But I do have the family taking it in that round, so we're all back on track.
All right. Well, being back on track, I'm going to join you all on the family train. Sorry, Albert. Here's the thing. I could totally see Evil Geniuses sneaking away with it, but other than my pure blind fandom for the family on this, I do have to sit here and say that, yes, JTE is a tried and true team champion and shown a lot of good results on that. But the team that took away those belts from the Patriots finally. Half of that member, Drew McWeeny, is on the family.
Yeah.
They've got Kryptonite on him. Lon, if we play Drew McWeeny against JTE, I think Drew McWeeny edges him out on that one. Getting kicked. Not yet. No, we love you too much around here, Albert. I'm fine with you disagreeing with us. I try to be the rational mind in our podcast from time to time instead of have an echo chamber. Because if it was me, Danielle, and James, we'd all have a lot of the same answers here. Let's be honest. So we got to spice that diversity up here. But again, Drew McWeeny over JTE in the teams league for me. And then I sit here and say Lon versus Guy. And they both can be terribly inconsistent in their performances. Like they can both have great, amazing matches. And then they can both do 4 out of 8s in round 1. But only one of them has beaten Dan Murrell. So I have to give if I'm rationalizing it past my fandom, I really have to give it to the family on this edge. If nothing else, for the fact that I think they can really turn on the heel factor and actually playing the kayfabe into their favor, I think that Guy could really turn that into an advantage and possibly get into Lon's head because
that's possible.
That mattered.
Yeah.
So I've got the family. Not easily. I think it's going to be a very close match, though. But going back up, so we all agreed that we have loose cannons. And who's the boss?
Yeah.
Ooh. Let's ramp it up. Danielle, start us off on this one.
This is where my feelings start to hurt. So this whole left side of the bracket is really a nightmare for me because there's a lot of the teams that I love, a lot of the people that I love, and a lot of the factions that I feel very strongly about. So the left side of the bracket just kind of breaks my heart. And this is exactly where it starts. It starts in round 2 because round 1 is easy. That's fine. But round 2 is just kind of where it starts to become a bummer because Loose Cannons is good. They're good. Sweet Baby Paul, Mr. Eric. And then who's the boss? Like, this is where it breaks my heart also because who's the boss is fucking the 5 Horsemen. Like, that's who they are. Like, that's their faction. And I want to root against them. I really want to root against them. So
Albert's just quietly hiding in the chat for a little bit right
now. So bad. Ben Bateman, who I believe in very much, and that's my kayfabe aside. Like, that's my Schmodown bias aside. Like, I want to see Ben get really far. I want to see Ben be able to compete for a belt. I genuinely do. So that's why anytime these tournaments come up and Ben and Andrew are part of these tournaments, it's important for me to see them do well. So it kind of breaks my heart to choose between these two because Paul is doing great. The Dungeon is one of my favorite factions to be part of. A lot of good things going on over there. But man, I'm going with who's the boss on this one.
Totally fair on that. Albert, be the voice of reason. Who's it going to be on this one?
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, this one is a very tough one to pick as well. Either one could win. But once again, I gotta go with my gut, and I have to go with who's the boss. I just want to point this out. I don't know. I just realized this when I fact checked it. Who's the boss haven't played since April in the live show, so I don't know. People might forget how good they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's been a while, and of course Bateman has several match in singles, and Riley have a rough showing in singles, so maybe people just overlook that. But as a team, they were really solid, especially last year. And yeah, Oyama and Bateman somewhat cancel each other out. Maybe Oyama have a little bit of an edge on Bateman, but if we're comparing player to player, Riley to Zipper, Riley just got more in the resume, and I feel like Riley's a better player too. So yeah, I have who's the boss in this one too.
Mhm.
Oh, guys, I have to break this up. Here's a hot cake for you all.
Hot cake.
I've got who's the boss also. Oh, damn it! This is not how my segment is supposed to go on this show. So, all right, here's the points I'll make. This match is terrible. This match is much closer than what people are going to give it credit for. In that, yes, who's the boss definitely has much more cohesiveness. I think the chat, as we pointed out, I can read a couple comments. Chris Adams says the total team strength and who's the boss over loose cannons. I'd probably give him that. A lot of it's going to be, how Riley performs. I think Riley and Zipper are the main ones we're looking at here. I would agree that I think Oyama and Bateman will probably cancel each other out. Almost, honestly, kind of giving the curve to Oyama right now, just based on how he's performing. But it's hard because it's purely an experience piece. Because if I'm taking Oyama and Bateman out of the equation, and if I said I was going to do Eric Zipper versus Riley match, I think on paper I'd be like, duh, Riley. But I remember Riley's had a really rough run in singles. And granted, he brings a whole different game to teams, players. They find different magic with it. But I think if we're sitting there and Oyama keeps doing what he's doing, pulls ahead, and just stays that consistent with it, and Zipper is just able to keep up, that's a wheel. That's a match where it just lands on whatever wheel topic it hits. And if either team rolled wrong, it's totally swings one way or the other. I think it's almost too close to call is what sports would sit there and say. Too close to call. I don't know. We're not sports. I never watched it. I watched movie trivia. But it's almost too close to call, but I'm going to give it to who's the boss on the edge for two reasons. One, the experience and cohesiveness that people are mentioning. And two, as some of you have already guessed, where that puts round 3 of that side of the bracket, that's going to be the family against who's the boss, and I want that match. I want that match more than the family winning, than any other match in this whole thing. I want family against who's the boss. We'll start getting real hot cakes in there. But for right now, I think we're all pretty on the fence with who's the boss taking it on that one. So hopping back over onto this side, we got Odd Couple against Shazam, another really close match. Albert, lead the way, my friend.
Yeah, once again, round 2 matchups. It sucks for me because it's hard to decide for this. But one team is more experienced, one team is more fresh and new. But I don't know, something about Shazam just makes me think that they got this, just because their first showing it was really great. And once again, both teams really balance each other out in terms of strengths individually. But there is something about the pairing of Bibiani and Meyer. They both individually are amazing, and slight edge for them over Odd Couple.
Ooh, now we're getting hot. All right, Albert, bring in ketchup to a breakfast menu over here. He's got all the good stuff waiting for us. Danielle, Shazam.
That is a spicy take. So this also was a tough one for me to really think about, because anytime that I fill out a bracket, I usually go with my emotions and my heart and who I want to win and stuff like that. And sometimes I don't really necessarily put stats and numbers too much into play. Most of the time, sometimes. But if I really had to think about the better team, I think Shazam would be the better team. If I was picking who I would want to win, it would definitely be the Odd Couple, because I like that team. That's a fun team. I like Mark Andreyko very much. I like Jeff Snyder. And Shazam is a good team, and I would really like to see them do well, because it kind of feels like like seeing a new team go forward is always really fun to see in the Schmodown, and I love their entrances, and I think that they do well, and I think that the Odd Couple has very great entrances. So on an entertainment factor, also I would like Shazam to go forward in this one. My hot cake, I am picking Shazam. The team that I have going forward is Shazam, so that's my hot cake on that one.
All right, 2 out of 3 hosts confirmed that Shazam is going to round 2. But Dylan Camacho is going to have to chime in and say, I think the Odd Couple takes it from them, guys. So I definitely hear your points. I think Shazam, by a pretty decent margin, has a much wider scope of knowledge than the Odd Couple is. I think round 1 they will come out maybe not super far ahead, but definitely with at least a 2 to 3 point comfortable lead over them. But here's the thing. Every time I've told myself I should bet against Odd Couple since their tournament run and their first or last year's Team Showdown, I get kicked in the face for it. I didn't think they'd beat Who's the Boss, and I was at Chicago whenever they sat there and they did that upset, which was pretty awesome. Sorry, Ben, if you're in the chat, I'm not sorry. Whatever, you should have played better. But so Odd Couple surprised me there, and then I was like, "There's no way they beat the Shire Wolves," and then they beat the Shire Wolves. So it is super hard for me not to sit here and be wrong a third time and at least give them a chance to get through round 2. It'll be close. Shazam, I think, arguably is this better team in trivia, but Snyder is also a much better player, and I think he could possibly get in under their skin if he wants to take that route. So I'm going to give it to Odd Couple for this one, and we'll see how this next match goes. Meanwhile, right below them, we have Time Machine versus the Looney Bin. Danielle, what a crazy match this is, pun intended. Who you got?
Okay, so like I said, this is going to be a fun match to watch either way. I think the banter is going to be excited to see. I think the entrances are going to be fun to see, but I have Time Machine taking this one, obviously. I think Time Machine, Ethan Irwin and Janine are a great team. I think their strengths are going to work well. I don't discredit the Looney Bin. I do think that the Looney Bin is going to put up a good game. I think it's going to be a close game, but this is also a match that I am picking with my heart and with my head. I think that Time Machine is no joke. I think that they're underrated. I don't think that they're underrated. I think everyone knows how good that they are, and that's who I have taken it. Time Machine on this one.
A properly rated Time Machine, as Danielle would say it. Albert, is she the voice of reason here, or is insanity going to prevail into this match?
Well, I don't know which one you're saying is the voice of reason or which one is the insanity parts, but I think, I don't know if this is fair to say, but it's this one is the easiest for me to pick out of all the round 2 brackets. I mean, both teams have played once, but one of them won their first match and the other one didn't. And the one team which I'm gonna say is going to advance Time Machines, they individually, both players are just much better. I'm gonna say that over Tom and Video Drew.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Ethan Irwin and Janine, they can go far in this one, and yeah, it's the easiest one out of all the second round matchups, but I still think it's going to be a close game. But yeah, Time Machine.
Time Machine, Brandon Hanna saying, reason will prevail. Yes, he gets it. Shout out to Always Sunny, everybody. That's a great show. But, yeah, whenever Danny decides to rejoin us, I told you at around 38 minutes exactly, Albert, in the pre-show, that she would have technical difficulties. Called that a mile away. Yeah, I mean, it has to be Time Machine. I'll agree that it's not harsh to say, like, here's the thing. I really want the Looney Bin to be surprised, and then for Video Drew and Tom just to have super, like, good synergy. But it is so hard for my rational brain to vote against Ethan Irwin in pretty much anything. And with Janine on top of that as well, that's a killer team. That's such a killer team. And I love Video Drew and Tom both. Go check out our interview with Video Drew for Acid Trip and just video form for about half an hour. But, I think we got Danielle back. Hold on, I'm going to bring her in and see how it works. Anyway, yeah, I have to give it to Time Machine on this one. It's so hard not to sit here and just say Ethan Irwin and Janine the Machine lose to a team that's 0-1 right now. And that's not to say that, I mean, the Looney Bin will definitely be 1-1 by the time they play off, but yeah, Time Machine is a monster of a team. So we will see how that one goes. I think that next pairing match looks really good, but hopping back over to the other side, we have arguably the family, arguably Evil Geniuses, depending on whose bracket we're looking at, against who's the boss. So Albert, here I'll run it from your perspective. You have Evil Geniuses going into this round,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll ask you first. Evil Geniuses, who's the boss? Who do you got in that match?
Oh, yeah. This was rough to decide as well. Even though last year tournament bracket I had Evil Geniuses defeating Who's the Boss, winning all the way, this year's tournament bracket I have to go with Who's the Boss defeating Evil Geniuses for this one. I think despite how good Evil Geniuses is, I think they'll probably run out of steam. And Who's the Boss, there some of the categories that Who's the Boss are good at, I think it can stump Evil Geniuses. And all 4 players are bound to have great round 1s. So, and also round 3, most likely they're going to be doing great. So it's going to come down to the round 2. And in terms of their niche strengths, Who's the Boss got that, and Evil Geniuses not so much. So yeah, Who's the Boss in this one?
I would give you the edge on that one. I think in that match, Who's the Boss just has their strengths are diverse enough to be able to compete with Evil Geniuses across the board. But if they land something like movie release dates or something like scores and soundtracks, that I don't see a lot of steals coming from JTE or Lon in that one. But that's not going to be the match. It's going to be the family against Who's the Boss. So let's get into that one. That one is a super good one. Oh, Danielle, let's just scream over each other because we both have this one. All right, just pure intro. No. Go ahead, Danielle. What are your thoughts on the most heartbreaking reunion match, part 2? Who's the Boss versus the family?
This is going to break my heart to watch. It's going to be so terrible and so good at the same fucking time. It's gonna be an interesting match. Who's the Boss against the family? Man, okay. So watching Ben and Andrew in Houston was so much fun because it was by themselves. It was solo. So we got to watch the 2 of them go together, and honestly, it was a very unfair match. We know that wheel totally fucking screwed us over.
Wheelgate 2019, everybody.
Look at the stats.
Yeah, like. It was terrible. So to like the game was not what it was supposed to be, and it was just a shame that it was the way that it was and how it ended the way that it ended. Because we all know we're a team guy here. Like we've never stopped being team guy.
Nope.
And so it's gonna be. I think that kind of shows you where my answer is going. I got the family taking this. I think Drew McWeeny and Andrew Guy are going to get underneath Ben Bateman and Mark Riley's skin, because I think Ben deep down knows that he's a traitor, and I think Mark Riley knows that he can't be Ben's best teammate, because team action will always be team action, and there will never be another team that has been as great for not only the league or just in trivia or in anything together. Ben Bateman and Andrew Guy deserve to be together, and this is going to be the tournament that helps do that, because when Who's the Boss loses, Ben's going to realize that Mark Riley isn't a good enough teammate for him, and he's going to go running back to Andrew.
Mm-hmm. That's the storyline I want to see. Real hot take in the chat. Jaw movies. We need
I don't know who that is.
There we go.
Boy.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I'm going to upset a lot of the chat here, guys. I'm going to upset a lot of the chat right now.
He's going to do it. He's going to do it to us.
The family has to be the one that comes out on top of this. Here's the thing. Is
Break my heart to
Andrew on an okay day still beats Riley. I know in niche categories, sports and soundtracks, whatever, sure. But recently, Riley's been touch and go in his specific category, whereas Ben, sure, movie release dates, he's still got that pretty damn pat. I would say that Drew and Ben are pretty McWeeny and Ben are pretty comparative and skill on that. So it comes down to that. All right, if we do the teams thing and we say, all right, 2 of these players are about equal play. Although McWeeny has been more successful in teams and more successful in general with his runs, then it's Drew over Ben, and then it's Guy against Riley, and we've seen how that goes, guys. It's Drew. He's sat there. He has that. I think that the kayfabe in this match will be the best we'll see all the rest of the season. The heel talk, you're gonna, regardless of Ben is trying to wear his face persona on there right now, it's gonna go full heel in that match against Andrew. 100%. Like it's just them shit talking each other throughout the entire match. But the thing is, even in that, who's the better heel? Let's be honest, it's Andrew Guy. So in both technical performing abilities and in the kayfabe side of things, I do think that not just because I am a diehard guy, I do think that the family sneaks by with this one. Honestly, here's the funny thing. I think if Loose Cannons beats Who's the Boss and then Loose Cannons play the family, that's a harder match for the family. If Eric Zipper didn't crack so much under kayfabe pressure. So, okay, I take it back. Who's the Boss is still a hard match. But Oyama, I think, does great. But Oyama could probably get mind fucked as well. He hasn't really had to sit there and play against somebody fully healed. That's regardless. The family takes the whole right side of the bracket, in my opinion. And here's the craziest thing is that, like, it seems like an impractical thing. I know even on paper, all this, like, we've got a crazy Action Army fan base, and they're just going to say they're going to win regardless, which is true. But I try to have pretty rational bracket arguments across the board. Sure, they take wild berries, evil geniuses. I mean, I try to make the points as realistic as possible. Chris Adams agrees, says, Guy cannot get in Ben's head. Ben is now a guy's stick too well. Those guys stick too well. Just because he knows it doesn't mean he's going to be able to do well. If Ben starts missing a question, Ben will get in his own head. And Guy's just got to quit that all day. We've seen that happen before. And I'm ready to see a real match between those two. And I think it'll be much better showing in teams than in singles because that's where Guy's passion is. So that leaves us.
Yeah, can I just add to that conversation? Like,
Absolutely.
which one I want to see more between either Who's the Boss or Evil Geniuses versus Who's the Boss versus the family? Of course, I want to see Who's the Boss versus the family.
Has to be.
And even though I got Evil Geniuses defeating the family, if the family won, I think the family have a better chance of defeating Who's the Boss.
Yeah.
Because once again, this is a matchup issue, you know.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, Andrew Guy, I'm pretty sure he knows Ben Batesman's weakness, and then like you said, Ben Bateman might get in his own head if he starts missing questions and everything. And definitely, I feel like there will be more pressure on Bateman's gonna put more pressure on himself, and that might cause an issue for him performance wise. And yeah, Drew McQueen is just a beast. So if that comes to it, I think the family will beat Who's the Boss.
See, I'm glad that, if nothing else, Albert, that you have a rational enough mindset to know that if a family gets past Evil Geniuses, that them playing Who's the Boss is the most logical step of them winning into the finals of it. Now, the finals, this one might splitting some hairs because we got a lot of fan favorites in the finals. In mine and in Danny's take, we have the Time Machine versus the family, and Albert's, potential universe, I guess. We have Who's the Boss against Time Machine. So, Albert, I'll let you start first because I love hearing your lovely talking voice, and we've been going first recently on this one. On your bracket, you have Time Machine, Who's the Boss? Who you got winning the whole tournament?
So are we talking about the finals right now?
Yeah, we're talking finals, buddy. We're there.
Okay, so yeah, Time Machine versus Who's the Boss. This is very tough. Once again, probably I've said that too much times now, but Ethan Irwin, man, I think he's the key for this one. I got Ethan winning for the singles tournament, and I think he might win it in this one as well. He's gonna wait. Did Sam Levine won both tournaments several years ago? Or did he?
Yes, I think he's won both, but I don't remember if it was the same year or not. I want to say it was. I
think it is, and if that's the case, so that's not unprecedented. So right. I think Ethan can do this too. Plus, Janine is such a great player, and that will be such a fun match. Time Machine versus the Boss, but I have to go with Time Machine.
Solid pick on that one. I'm never going to argue an Ethan Irwin match on that one at all. Danielle, does Time Machine edge it out on yours as well, or does the family prevail? What's your thoughts?
Man, this is also a tough one for me because I love Janine. I love Ethan. I think that they're doing a great job. I would love to see Ethan go go all the way and do all that. I would also love to see a belt around Andrew Guy at some point, so I would love to see him win this tournament as well. You know me, I'm a big Andrew Guy fan. I think it's really going to come down to. I don't think that we should discount Drew McQueenie also. I think Drew McQueenie is really trying to redeem himself. I don't think he wanted to give up the team's belt as quickly as he did. When Sam decided to leave the league, he kind of left Drew McQueenie in the dust. Like maybe at least to me, it didn't seem like Drew McQueenie was ready to give up those belts and wanted to hang on to it for as long as he possibly could. And I think he's trying to look for some redemption. And so I don't think that we should discredit that either. And that's why, this was very hard for me to pick. And I still really don't know who I want to pick for it, because I've been looking at this bracket and I just keep going back and forth with it, because it really is a toss up between it, because I think both teams will do really well with it. And if I had to just gut punch it really quickly, I'm gonna say the family.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's just me wanting evil to win over good. That's all.
That's fair. So here's the mindset I want to take into this match. My mentality's like, here's the thing. On paper, Ethan Irwin and Janine. Ethan Irwin losing is such a strange concept to me to digest. Like, it just is.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hear Ethan Irwin and then I hear losing, and I'm like, oh, that can't be right. Here's the deal, guys. Here's my honest opinion. All kayfabe aside, all podcast kayfabe aside, is it my hopes and dreams that if the family makes it all the way to the finals and beats Who's the Boss, that it just makes poetic sense for them to go all the way? I really do. If I have to say it's that. But Ethan Irwin and Janine is going to be cruising through that left side of the bracket so hard.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to do it. The family wins. The family wins the whole damn thing.
He went there.
You came to the podcast, and I have Drew Guy winning a whole tournament. That's the hottest take I could possibly give you.
Dylan, do we basically have the same bracket?
We have pretty much the same bracket, damn.
Wow.
I'm so glad we brought Albert on.
I know. That's why I was like, we need somebody else, because I have a really good feeling that a lot of these brackets look the same. James is the only wild card one, just because he just plays purely off favoritism on his choices. So his are always all over the place.
Yeah,
Chris, here. There's the hot cake for you, buddy. You've been waiting for it the whole show. There it is. Yeah. Like, here's the thing, guys.
Am I wrong though? Like, chat, am I being too crazy? If I drank the Kool-Aid too many times? If the family beats Evil Geniuses and then beats Who's the Boss, are you gonna blame me for saying that they're gonna beat Ethan Irwin and Janine the Machine? Is that a totally unfair judgment to say? Albert, I see you are rolling eyes over here.
I'm trying to form an argument against it.
But listen, if they get that much momentum facing the right side of the bracket is definitely the stiffer side. I think we can all agree. Like, the right side is the harder side compared to the left, I would argue.
Yeah.
So seeing the right side come out on top, and if it was like with Who's the Boss, sure, that, like, the funny thing is, I think Who's the Boss loses to Irwin and the Machine. I can't really validate why. It's strictly feeling. That match comes really close on, like, a stats side. But with the family, I think they just have so much momentum, and that guy is going to be one of those people with momentum. He's the only person in the entire universe that with momentum has done the unthinkable in the Schmoedown. So for him to sit there and do the unthinkable again with the momentum, if he carried into the finals, I have to give it to him, man. Like, it's the same argument I gave with the odd couple in round 2, is that, I've been fooled enough times enough to know that it's like, how do I not sit there and vote for this? I'm not going to be proven wrong again. I got to learn from these mistakes. It's not unfair, but that's so unlikely to happen, says Justin in the chat. Justin, listen, I even kind of agree, is that it's an unlikely situation for the family to run that far, but really, I look at the Wildberries match, and I see him winning. And I look at the Evil Geniuses match, and I see them winning. And then I see him against Who's the Boss, and is that the hardest one to probably follow up with? Yeah, but Ben Bateman chokes under hard pressures. and he has done that consistently. And with Drew
Preach
being
it, Dylan. Preach it.
with Drew being in that match with him, it puts so much more stakes. And I think we've all said before that Ben is going to be Ben's worst enemy on that. I don't think it's definitely going to be Andrew Guy over Ben. I think it's going to be Ben over Ben, and then that Riley's not going to carry enough to lose that momentum to the Drews. So, yeah, if I'm taking the family on who's the boss, I'm taking the family against the Time Machine.
Can I add another thing?
Absolutely, Albert.
So I've been forming my argument while you've been saying this.
Yes,
So
I know. I give you a long range. Make sure that you have time for it, buddy. Go ahead.
So yeah, Ethan Irwin, you mentioned it early on. Ethan Irwin, it's hard to imagine him lost, and in fact, he's only lost 3 times in his career. For the first one was against Mark and Draco for a contenders match. Second one was in teams when he was with Sabina, which Sabina didn't really had a great game, and they lost against Franchise Force of Bibiani and Nose. So yeah, that was a fair loss. And the third one, he lost to someone who had a perfect game in the title match, which is Dan Murrell. So yeah, that's the first. Second, you said momentum for Andrew Guy, and Andrew Guy did beat Dan Murrell, but one of the reasons is because Dan Murrell got opponents, and Andrew Guy gave him romance. And guess who else is pretty good at romance? Janine the Machine. So
true. Yeah, you know what? I'll give you a fair argument in that, and I'll even add on to the counter argument just to be as fair as possible, because I love Ethan and I love Janine both. So seeing them lose is not like an easy thing that I like to swallow on this one. But to give even more of a curve to them, Ethan is one of those people who is not going to give a shit about kayfabe. Like, Andrew's going to come in here being like, doing the heel stick, and like, Ethan's going to be like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I'm fucking loaded. I'm a movie producer, whatever. Like, I'm going to walk away in my limo at the end of the day. I don't care. Like, I'm really good at movie trivia. It does not matter. And I think in that way, he's totally kayfabe immune. Janine, I think definitely. I mean, she can play along with the best of them as well. Like, Janine is criminally underrated with playing kayfabe aside in that as well. But I think Janine could possibly get under the lights on that one if they go after her with the kayfabe stuff. She can definitely fight back with it, but I've seen performance be sacrificed for it at times. So that's gonna be a spicy finals match no matter what.
See, I don't necessarily think that Andrew Guy is good. Like, Andrew Guy is going to be full heel no matter what he does and everything that he does. But I think if the family gets that far to it and it's the last match, I don't think Andrew Guy is gonna try. I think he's gonna know his opponents better, and I think he's a better heel in this game to know when and who he can use that advantage with, because he can use that on the entire left side, or on the entire right side of the bracket. He can be that heel and use that to his advantage on that entire side of it. But I think that he knows that he can't do that to Janine and Irwin, because they're not going to let that get under his skin. So at that point, I think he's just going to take his jabs where he knows he can get them and just play the fucking game. Just do what they need to do to win, because that's what they're both going to want to do at that point, because they know that Time Machine is going to come with it no matter what. And Janine is a smart enough player in this game to know that that's what Andrew Guy is going to try to do. He's going to try to come at her with all of this kayfabe and try to distract from everything that you do. Like, whenever I try to play along with the Schmodown, and just whenever I'm trying to concentrate on something, anytime I hear someone talk, it's an easy distraction from my train of thought and trying to get there. Right. So I think that because a lot of people already know that that's Andrew Guy's strategy, like, that's not a secret, like, that's what he does during games. I think that they're smart enough players. Janine is a smart enough player to know how to play offense against that defense. Right. So, and I don't think Irwin's going to let that get to him either way, because I think he's already got that shit in there. So I don't think that Andrew Guy is going to come super full heel at them like that, because I think Time Machine is going to be way more prepared for it than most people are going to think. So
I would agree.
But
I would agree.
I still have the family. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. That's going to be the banter that's going to happen. It's going to be between Jay Washington and Guy. And you know what? That actually is a good point to kind of come across, because if Guy does get distracted in his heel work, it's going to distract him from his gameplay, because it's happened to him before. I think that that's what happened to him in the Roka match. He was too distracted by his heel work over his gameplay. But that is also why I think Andrew Guy is going to come with his gameplay over his skill work for the last match. So they
That's
can
fair.
take it.
Well, there you have it, guys. That is all of the Ultimate Schmodown Teams tournament bracket. I said going into this episode, yeah, let's do 30, 45 minutes. 1 full hour for everybody. I don't know how to cut off a podcast whenever it's too good. That's fine.
We got to cover the whole thing, and we went through the whole brackets. I've got a lot of comments in here saying how theirs goes, a couple of variances. Chris says he's got Shazam in the finals. A couple other people kind of have mixed reviews here and there. Here's what I want everybody to do, because we're going to be wrapping up here soon. Chat, James says, let's talk my bracket. Absolutely not. We're at an hour. We're signing off, buddy. But let me do this real quick. And boom, it's just the three of us.
We'll try to get our bracket. We'll try to get all of our call to action brackets posted onto our call to action Facebook page, so you can go and judge them all there.
If you want Jamie's brackets in 2 words, it's right there.
That's basically what it is. Yes.
Right.
So we'll try to have that up there for y'all, so you can submit your own to our page also, and let us know where you're at.
Yeah. Submit it to our page. Submit our comments below. Who you guys think you got winning this whole thing? Before we sign off, Danielle, where can all the lovely people find you at?
Well, you all know where to find me. You can find me on Twitter at DannyJoy, DANIEEJOY. You can also find me on the Call to Action Facebook page. If you're on that page, you're more than likely interacting with Danny, myself, Nat, or Alex. Find us there. Make sure you like and subscribe to that page. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of that good stuff. You can also find me on the Action Army Facebook page. I'm in there. Me and Paul are all up in there. You can find me on Chill to Action every Sunday at 11. Whenever Andrew and Ben decide to end their stream is whenever we start ours.
Right.
So find us on Sundays, and you can find me here on Call to Action also. That's it, I think.
Aha! Albert, my fun man, where can they catch you at?
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JA Wiradharma spelled like my last name over there. And you can also check out my YouTube channel at Jaw Movies. I believe the Schmodown Throwdown should be released tomorrow, right? So you can find my reaction then tomorrow. As well as you can check out my podcast at The Councilman Show. You can find it on Apple, Anchor, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. This week, me and my friends talk about our most anticipated movie for the rest of the year, as well as what we think might win the Oscars. So if you're interested in that, go check it out.
Yay.
And of course, you can catch me here at the Call to Action podcast, the Hotcakes episodes, the Call to Action, Call to Asian episodes, all the good stuff. You can also catch Albert on that show from time to time as well. You can catch me in Nashville protesting to have the Schmodown brought to it. You know I haven't said it in the whole episode. Here it is. Hashtag Schmodown Nashville. Everybody in the show has been waiting for it. You can also catch me on Twitter at CAMACH Octopus. Never pronounce that out loud. If you say it 3 times into a mirror, you'll see me without makeup. You can catch me on all the Facebook pages anytime at all. Feel free if you're sitting there, you're like, yeah, of course. Obviously, check out the Call to Action Podcast Facebook page. Go give us a like, a subscribe, or whatever the hell we do on that page. I don't know. I don't keep up with Facebook too well. But I know that you should go check it out because we've been doing really good. I think we're just short of a couple numbers from 100, or maybe we're over 100. I don't know. I don't keep up with that. That's a
I don't know.
We'll find out later. Always stay tuned for our great content, guys. We've got more episodes, more reactions coming up later in the week. We've got Chill to Action, of course. We've all Alex McFarland, my wonderful soul sister in the show. I think she's coming in, hopefully, with another movie debate, Schmodown debate, TBD titled episode coming here this week soon. Maybe this week. I don't know. I haven't talked to her about it. I'm just going to plug it anyway. Anyway, 129 subs, says Danny. All right, we're looking pretty good. Let's get that to 200. Let's get that to 5,000. Let's get that to 1 million subs, guys. Can you do that for me? Can we get to 1 million subs on both YouTube and Facebook? All I'm asking is for and then subscribe 1 million over to Albert as well, because he's earned it. He's a hardworking guy. Give it to him. That's our show.
Y'all, if we get
What's up?
if we get to 1,000 subs, and we get to have super chats. So yeah, let's make that a goal.
Oh God, what are we gonna do? Super chat. That's the dream. We're gonna get super chat, and then we're gonna split it 11 ways and not know what to do with the money, guys. That's our show.
Each get a quarter. It'll be amazing. Yeah.
Solution.
Sorry, Dylan.
Guys, see you next time. And then we just wait for a while it goes.